Good morning. There's a camera in your face already. Are you ready?
Yeah. It's amazing how warm the sun makes it. I put my fleece pants on, but I might need to take them off.
Yeah, our thermometer up there is very deceptive. The heat from the cabin's leaking out, so it says it's 42 degrees, and that mud puddle over there completely disagrees.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little bit embarrassing, but it's mostly camera worthy.
You haven't seen a video on our water system that we slaved so hard over the spring. Our water's not frozen. We just gotta come out to the freeze-proof hydrant. Whoa!
But our
RV
stopped overnight.
But there was just enough water in the tea kettle for coffee.
Oh, yes.
I still haven't mastered how to turn this on delicately.
All right, I get one now. Boom.
Let's try to have a good day, huh?
Heck yeah.
More coffee.
So the wood stove in our cabin, some folks might not understand, is actually not to heat our living space. Although when we burn the wood stove, it does reduce our propane usage, and that's wonderful. It also creates another problem though. It heats up our deep freezer, so our freezer runs a lot more, and since we're off grid at the moment, it uses a lot of power. So when we're above about 25 degrees, we don't burn. Two reasons. One, we don't need to because our RV doesn't freeze up at that temperature. And the other one is, why waste wood? We did have a strong burning season for about 6 weeks, and then we've stopped. Just don't need to. But last night, I think we got down into the low teens or single digits, and there's a small problem with how our RV and our water system is currently set up that makes it prone to freezing.
There's a hydrant just inside our garage here that we use to get water to the RV. The problem is, Bugaboo has claimed this as his cat hole. And this is like a jet engine for cold air. It sucks the cold air underneath there, and of course, freezes the hydrant.
This only becomes a problem when there's no snow. Most of the winter, that's been covered in snow. So Bugaboo had to ask permission to get outside. But now that it's thawed, he comes and goes there as he pleases, and he doesn't have to wake us up in the night. We kind of see that as a win-win. So we'll take the gamble of our water system freezing. Thankfully, it takes just a couple minutes with the wood stove, and everything's thawed out and working good again.
Where we left off in this video here, we were trying to decide how we want to floor our subfloor, which has to be done before we dry in the structure. Over there, we have a boatload of lumber left over from when we milled our timber frame. However, until recently, we didn't know if we had enough to floor both the loft as well as the underside of the roof. Based on our calculations, we have more than enough to do the loft and not nearly enough to even touch the roof. And in all honesty, part of us likes the look of a drywall ceiling because it really allows the frame to pop. Our lumber right now, it's in various lengths. The longest pile we have is 27 feet, and the shortest pile we have is about 15 feet. The widths are all varied too. We talked to our local sawmill operator, and he said it isn't a problem to do. Hold on, let me show you. For the decking of our hot tub deck, we dropped a pine tree on the back side of our property, and to maximize it, we decided not to go with a uniform dimension here. So as you can see, this is about 12 inches, and this is about maybe 8 or 10 inches. The sawmill said it isn't a problem if we give them our lumber this way. It just has to be stacked in an organized manner. However, I'm not sure if when we're standing in the kitchen, we're gonna wanna see uniformity and just have a bunch of 6x lumber, not various width lumber. It's also gonna make organizing it in units very challenging. We're gonna have to do a lot of shuffling around because we want the long stuff on bottom and the wide stuff on bottom. But if we have every width imaginable and every length imaginable, you can see how it's just gonna get messy. So to keep things simple, we decided we're going 6x everything. Next, we had to decide what lengths do we want. The sawmill said they can do a maximum of 16 feet. So either way, we're going to be cutting down a lot of our lumber. Our floor joists are all 3 feet on center. So if we had a 16-foot piece, there'd be a foot of waste at the end. For us, one of the hardest parts of this path we've chosen in building our house is really figuring out how to maximize your material. We have to decide, is it worth it to literally pinch pennies and try to not waste a single piece of lumber? Most times it doesn't make sense, but you still want to waste as little as possible. Jesse said that we really want to think about the pattern that we're creating. You either want to create a pattern that makes sense by the way you lay out the lumber, or you want to go with no pattern and kind of go for that random look. So if we really wanted to be random, we could go with 3-foot pieces and just shuffle them up. Therefore, your eye doesn't pick up on any pattern, it's all random and it all looks good. But 3-foot pieces spanning just 2 floor joists isn't as strong as a 6-foot piece spanning 3 floor joists, and that's just a lot of little pieces of wood to deal with. I'd go up there and show you guys, but we had to take that ladder down yesterday because of this. Look at him. I think this is the first time he's up here.
Oh, I think so too.
Oh my goodness. This is his little jungle gym.
Oh yeah.
There he goes. Wow. It's good for his little brain.
Oh yeah. What a little turd.
That dang cat. I just remembered a tool we have to show you what we're gonna do. We decided we're gonna turn everything into 10-foot pieces. It gives us the most flexibility. Really, we need a bunch of 9-foot pieces, except we don't know what condition our lumber's in. There's a good chance we'll get like a little checking or have some knots in the end of it, so we feel that losing a foot off every piece is acceptable. We're gonna start with a 9-foot board, which spans 4 joists like that, and then a 9-foot board, a 9-foot board, and a 9-foot board. But to keep the pattern varied, we're then gonna start with a 6-foot board, and then a 9-foot, 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 and a 3-foot. And then we're gonna start with a 3-foot board, and then a 9-foot, 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 6-foot. I think we need 216 10-foot boards. And based on my math, we can get pretty much exactly that number. When we were talking to the owner of the sawmill, he was telling us about some wood that was dropped off that was not in good quality at all. In the end, he said it would barely be good for barn wood or barn siding because it had so much checking, so many pitch streaks, I'm not sure the terminology there, running from one end of the board to the other, lots of knots, and in the end it was just very brittle and not easy to work with. So we were worried that what if our wood was the same? From our memory, this lumber is extremely clear, has very little to no pitch running through it, but just to be sure, we asked if the owner of the sawmill would be willing to swing by our property and just take a look, just to save us from headaches, because what if it was bad? The verdict, he said, from what he can see, this wood is just fine. We tried to only save the best of the best lumber. The rest of it was turned to firewood. Today, Jesse and I are gonna work together. We're gonna fire up the sawmill. I'm gonna challenge myself to do most of the sawmill running because, to be honest, I didn't get to do much or any when we were milling the frame. We were simply under too tight of a timeline. We're gonna have to pull these boards onto the sawmill and we're gonna have to cut them all to 6 inches wide. Some boards we can get 2 6-inch wide pieces, and then we're gonna cut it down to 10 feet. We're also gonna have to figure out a trailer to stack it on, and we're gonna just have to spend a good amount of time getting organized because we haven't been out here in a while. So I don't think we're gonna finish this today, but we're gonna give it a really good start.
spring yesterday, or day before yesterday. Winter's back.
Hey, let's play shuffleboard.
Okay.
Ready?
We're going for the end of the trailer. You ready?
Okay, yeah.
Ah, it went off.
Oh, you failed too. So now we're kind of trying to make a plan here because it's not crystal clear exactly how to prep the unit that we want to send to the mill for drying. So we've kind of talked about the length of the trailer, the width of the trailer, the width of a unit, how many boards go in that unit. I guess we're kind of have to just wing it a little bit, and we may end up having to restack some stuff just until we get a rhythm down, I guess.
So I guess in that case, let's just set 3 stickers and then we could just start piling them on.
Yeah, we'll put some tall stickers on there, like 4 inches. That way they can get the forks underneath easily.
And they said put 3/4 of an inch between each board.
Yep.
To allow the air to get around the boards to dry.
In the kiln, right.
There's always massive debate about how thick the sticker should be. The mill said doesn't really matter, but at least a 1/2 inch. That's all you're really looking for. And then of course, on each board, you want the 3 stickers on each board to be consistent thickness, but you could literally change the thickness every board and it wouldn't matter. So we have created a bunch of small stickers. All of our rows are single stack, so they're extremely wobbly. So I think through this process, we're gonna have to create some stickers, but it shouldn't be that hard because a lot of our boards are over 12 inches wide. So we're gonna have some overrun, and it shouldn't be anything for Alyssa to knock out some stickers.
Kind of nervous. I know it's pretty straightforward, but maybe you can like mentor me on a couple of cuts.
Yeah. Doesn't it feel weird? It feels like getting ready to work is a job in and of itself. It is.
Right? Getting to work is my least favorite part. I love working.
Right.
Just creating all these systems, and Sawmill's not second nature to me yet.
Well, and we kind of just left everything. We kind of tidied up for winter and left it. So everything needs fueled up. Everything needs defrosted. Everything needs to be tuned up, moved around.
Jesse and I discovered a new drink. It's not a new to me drink, but the name of it is new. If you haven't heard of it yet, next time you go to your local coffee stand, ask for a London Fog. It's like all the rage these days, and most people can do it. It is a vanilla Earl Grey tea latte, and it is amazing. That is not what I'm drinking. It's what I wish I was drinking.
All right, we got to get the cobwebs off. Our first cut. This might take a while. Yeah, this is working good.
It's gonna look amazing.
And the difference between 9 and 10 foot's not a big deal, so it's not like we have this monster stickering problem. Ooh, those look good.
Pretty good?
Oh yeah.
I'm getting in the flow a little bit.
Good.
We can probably fit one more?
Yeah, I think there's room for one more. Let's give it a shot. Yeah.
Look at us doing a couple activity. Can you feel our relationship growing by the minute?
I do.
There's that sticker out there, dude. It's looking really good.
Oh, that's looking really good. I totally forgot that we have a battery powered saw now, so I don't have to do a lot of this, you know, kind of trim cutting with the chainsaw anymore. I'm thinking this is going to make just all this stuff out in the field so much easier instead of having to run the generator and get extension cords and then of course put all that stuff away.
I think sometimes when we create tools that make work easier, we're more inclined to do work. And I don't know why, but I always forget. I remember when we were doing the backhoe, or the sawmill, we're putting the sawmill together and we were literally packing 3/4 minus rock over here to bed the footings for the sawmill in buckets. And I was like, wait, we have a backhoe. Like, why are we doing this? I guess it just takes time to get used to the new workflow.
That's way easier.
Right?
A few videos back we did a chainsaw sharpening video and we were trying to diagnose our small saw and figure out why it wasn't cutting well. And before we kind of figured out what the real problem was, we had filed the rakers down pretty far. And so now the saw is pretty jumpy when you're cutting. Still cuts fine, but you got to get the revs up. So it's not really that fun for doing what I would call precision chainsaw work. It's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it?
Keeping little chunks like this in the rare event that we might make a pair of stairs or a set of stairs or something. These are just a little narrow maybe, but being that they're already dimensioned and good lumber, we're gonna keep those just in case.
Anything that's scrap, we're just gonna throw probably in our trailer, and we might either rent a chipper or turn it into hot tub fuel. Alyssa's been really wanting to help and learn more about the tasks that we were doing before the workshop, but because of the workshop, it made it really difficult to involve her a lot because we had such tight deadlines. So a lot of the work we're doing today she wants to do, and then if maybe tomorrow we'll switch roles or something like that, which is a chance for me to run the camera more. Great, right? I think she's in a pretty good spot. So I think it's time for a London fog run.
Wow, it's toasty in here now. Oh, nice. Nice. I think you're in a good spot.
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Let's keep working.
So I think I'll go get some liquid motivation.
Yeah.
Will that help?
Definitely.
Okay. Don't worry, I'll turn the camera off. I think you're probably doing good without it, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Don't worry guys, I'll leave the camera rolling. We just won't tell Alyssa, right? Just want to see how good a work she does when we're gone. I didn't even leave you alone for 1 minute. Alyssa's done her sawmill initiation. Somebody emailed us and said it's not a matter of if, but when you hit a guide. And I just want to say that this is my opinion what makes lumber challenging, is that you're just constantly up and down and up and down, and there's no consistency with this stuff. So what do we get to do?
Change the blade.
Change the blade. Get it to about head height, like about right there. There you go. Okay, good.
Release the tension.
Yeah, so you need to grip that firmly. There you go. Yep, easy. Get that hose out of the way. There you go. Okay, good. Yep, all the way down. And then grab down here with one hand and then up there with one hand. It doesn't look destroyed.
Okay.
So we can send this one in for sharpening. So that's good.
I don't have to send it back.
So the easiest way is to put the bottom of the blade in first.
Go reverse.
Yep. Good, yep. And then into the slot. And then put the other side on. Start at the bottom, work your way up.
Tension.
All right, looks good. Let's tension it. And then visually just check it, make sure it's on all the roller guides. Put the covers back on, we'll fire it up. And so now with the new blade, you want to just run it and double check it for operation, make sure it's running good. All right, now you're good.
Yep.
Have fun.
Bye.
I don't want to miss London Fog 30.
Good. How's it feel?
Good. A lot of them are kind of slow going because I could just tell, like.
Yep.
Good job getting a row done. Looking good. We'll get a system. This is just like milling the beams, right? One day, one beam. When we're all done, it was like 7 a day.
It could be worth the effort to really get like 6 pieces and study them and see how many you can run together. But as soon as I know it's gonna be like close, just screw it, just do it alone.
It's a gamble, right? It's like,
I'm gonna spend more time trying to figure out how to save time.
Exactly. It's definitely not straightforward. It's not like throw them all up there, make a bunch of cuts. Well, let me back up. You could do that. You're just going to waste a ton of wood, right?
Yep.
And we're trying not to do that. Are you setting a personal goal?
It's not hard to do.
All right. Alyssa says she wants this pile gone before anybody gets dinner. All right, I'm back in the game. So if I bring boards over here and get them cut to length and kind of give you the short and skinny of what I think will come out of that board, is that gonna help?
Yes.
All right.
Wow.
Oh.
So the last one we did without the lubricant.
Oopsie.
But we hardly took any off there, so.
Yep, gonna be tight for sure. That's what maximizing wood looks like, right?
That's so pretty, look at that. Wow.
Ooh. Now that's the kind of waste I like to see.
That's looks like a beam, doesn't it?
Kinda does.
So about that whole like finish that pile thing, it's too dark.
Plan B.
We're not doing this to ourselves anymore.
Do you know what's good and bad about being in the executive?
You make your own decisions, you call the shots.
Which is the good and bad about being an executive.
Because you have to take responsibility. Wanna help me get these stacked?
Heck yeah.
I'm pretty proud of my little sawmill girl.
I'm trying.
She got,
this is the most sawmill time I've had.
yeah, you got to break a break from the chainsaw, which you became like highly intimate with the chainsaw.
Yep.
Over like 3-week period, so.
I think it's all about just being comfortable doing different things, because if something comes up tomorrow that Jesse needs to do and I don't know how to do yet, I can do this, I can take over. And there's huge value in that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a learning curve to everything, but you can do it. You can do anything you put your mind to. I wouldn't say we are sawyers. I wouldn't want to insult sawyers, but we can make boards. And if boards make a floor, we can make a floor. We'll get it. Yep. We'll figure it out.
It really got cold when the sun went down, huh?
Mm-hmm.
10%. That's how much 10%? We got done today. Yeah, but think about it like this. Here's the thing, like just like the beams, this was all basically 4 cuts, 1 board. 4 cuts, 1 board, right? But when we get to the big lumber,
that's true,
where you're cutting it in half and cutting it in half, it'd be 4 cuts, well, not quite 4, maybe 5, 6 cuts, 4 boards.
That's very true.
Right?
We started with probably the most time-consuming stuff first.
And tedious, but also the easiest.
This is a good, like, winter, work your way back into it project. I feel like there's no deadline.
Yes, we're having the fun word.
Fun.
Fun. So we're back at it again tomorrow.
Yes.
Kind of feels like when we started milling the frame, we're out here making lots of noise, making lots of sawdust, and you look at the log deck and you're like, I
think in my experience, the first day you can't have expectations. You simply have to go out and get organized, think about things, start moving things around, start playing, start testing, and before you know it, you are working. But you can't go out the first day with elaborate goals of like, I'm gonna get 50% of this done.
Yep.
But now I think we could start setting goals if we want to.
Heck
but
yeah.
We're not going to.
Yep. All right, let's clean up, eat dinner, and then we'll relax so we can be on the game tomorrow.
Yeah.